Hey guys, what's going on? I am so excited to bring you this next video. It is a pros and cons part 2 since you all were so active in my first one in the comments section, and I really thank you for that. I decided to take some of your input and your suggestions and then come up with a new list of my own to bring you this pros and cons of living in Maine part 2. So before we jump into it, I do just want to update you on what the market is like here in southern Maine and actually also in central Maine as well. So it's a great time to sell. If you are interested or thinking about listing your house, just reach out to me. I've got my contact info in the description box below. We can talk about it. It's always good to see what your options are and how much equity you have in your home so that you know what you can make for choices and if you do need to take that step and to put your house on the market. So again, I have had many buyers who have been in situations where there are multiple offers. The offers are way over asking price. There's situations where people are waiving inspections and not asking for anything extra. So again, really great time to sell in the southern Maine and central Maine market. All right, so let's jump in and we'll start with the cons first so that we can end on a high note with the pros. So con number 1, and somebody brought this up in the last video that I did, which I'll link that below too so that you guys can see that. Mud season. So this is interesting because where I am, I kind of live in like a city. So I don't really get out into the country much where there's a lot of mud, but I did have a showing with a client in central Maine, and one of the roads that we went down for the house that she was looking for, it said on it dirt road, but at that time there was so much moisture from the snow and then it just rained. So this 1 mile strip of road that we had to go down to get to this house was so muddy. Like I've never driven through mud like this in my car, and I thought I was going to either get stuck or like get shot off the side of the road. So it took like 10 minutes to drive down this 1 mile strip of muddy road. So yes, mud season is a thing. Also, if you happen to have kids who like to go outside, their stuff is going to be very, very muddy, especially as evidenced by my daughter who has come home every day from preschool with super muddy clothes and boots. So it's just one of those things. It's, the snow is melting. We have been kind of rainy lately. I'm filming this at the end of April, so it's actually been really rainy, and I think we're supposed to get more rain coming into this week. So yeah, mud season, it's one of those things. It's making way for the nice, beautiful summer weather. All right, so number 2 on the cons list, and that is bugs, which again, I actually made a separate video on it because it was actually a really fun video and funny to make. So I will link that. Actually, I'll link it up here. And so check that out. But yes, we do have bugs. We are starting to come into that season. I have been seeing some. The mosquitoes, yes, they are not great. So what do you do for that? Make sure you always have bug spray if you're going to be going outside. That is like my number 1 tip. Just bring the bug spray if you know you will be doing anything outdoors. Another really helpful thing that a lot of my friends seem to do, and it's just, kind of a thing that we do here in Maine. I'm sure lots of other people do it in other states too, but campfires. And the smoke will keep the bugs away. And it also helps when we have windy days. The bugs, they can't hang out if there's wind blowing them by. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I think in Maine, you kind of deal with it. And someone, like I said, had pointed it out in my other pros and cons video. And it was really funny because even though they annoy me, like I didn't even really think of it. I'm just so used to it. So yes, we do have bugs. And then the further north you go, it's actually kind of funny because as you drive further north, and I've been all the way to the tip top of Maine, up to Fort Kent, and you can tell as you're getting up into the cleaner air, like how many bugs just hit your windshield as you're driving. I mean, you literally have to like rinse, you have to do the windshield wiper stuff to get them off of your windshield. It's kind of gross, but it is interesting. And I think it's really indicative of how clean and clear the air is up there. There's just a lot more open space. So Yes, bugs are a thing here in Maine, but we have ways to deal with them. Or, I mean, I guess if you're really opposed to it, you can just stay inside. But yeah, it's just one of those things we have here. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with them in the cold months, like kind of late fall and into winter. So I feel like it's a 50-50 thing. You just kind of have to deal with it sometimes. All right, and con number 3, and that is the quality of the roads here in the wintertime. So what happens is we get these things called frost heaves, which are just basically like speed bumps or cracks in the road. And it happens when the snow or the ice gets trapped under the pavement. The temperature fluctuates, causing it to expand, and it creates these like ripples or dips in the road or cracks in the road. So yes, you do have to be cautious of that when you are driving around. And then the other thing too is, it causes big potholes as well. So I think that was something that somebody else had mentioned in the comments, and yes, it's very true. It's kind of annoying. It's, one of those things, like I care a lot about my car, and I definitely don't like to drive through those or drive over those and, do anything to mess up my car. So, and then another thing along with that in the wintertime is the salt that they use to treat the road. You do have to make sure that you are getting your car cleaned, because that stuff will just erode underneath your car and make it rust, and it just causes problems that no one wants. So it is important to make sure that you are going through the car wash or that you are cleaning your car on a regular basis throughout the winter. All right. Now that we have dealt with these little cons, let's get to the pros. So, pro number 1 for living in Maine, and that is we actually have really neighborly and friendly people here. I know that from a few of the comments in some of my other videos, it doesn't seem that way, but I can definitely assure you that people here, they're very welcoming. It's a very, lots of places, have very strong communities, and, they're very welcoming. They're very friendly. They're very willing to help. I mean, when I had my house, we had neighbors that were always coming over, checking to make sure, we had everything, we were okay. If the power went out, we would help each other out. And so, yeah, it just, the people here are, for the most part, very friendly and very neighborly. All right, pro number 2, and that is I know I mentioned it in my last video, like the food, but specifically seafood. And we have awesome Maine lobster. If you have not tried it, please try it. It's very interesting to learn how to crack it. Most places they'll either do it for you or they'll bring it out, and they usually have like a little menu thing that shows you how to crack it. But yeah, it's really fun. It's so delicious to eat. We have lots of other ways to eat it too, like places make lobster stews and lobster rolls, and super yummy. And then we also have really great Maine shrimp, and they're these like little teeny tiny baby Maine shrimp, but they're so good and so sweet. And yes, I might need to get some after I'm done shooting this video. And then as well as, we have lots of other seafood that is, fished right off of our shores. People are always digging clams in the clam flats. So definitely lots of delicious seafood here in Maine. Okay, and pro number 3, and that is we are very small business friendly. So there are lots of places, and I'm talking like cafes and restaurants and just like little stores. Actually, my dad has owned a store in Saco for almost 30 years. And so we were just a very small business friendly community. And, I think it's great because it encourages entrepreneurship and encourages community, because people, will shop local and just supporting each other. It's really incredible. And then the other really cool thing that we have a ton of that has just like popped up here in the past, I don't know, I'd say maybe like 10 years, are breweries. Those are super popular, and I don't even know, like I've lost count of how many we have here, but they do really cool things. They're always putting on concerts, so they have bands. They usually have outdoor activities to do in the summertime and, probably the springtime too. But yeah, it's just a really cool thing. You can bring your kids, you can bring your dogs, and just go and check out some of the local breweries. And actually, there's a really cool one because I actually eat gluten-free. So there is a really cool one called Lucky Pigeon. It's in Biddeford, and that's what they do. They do gluten-free beer. I've yet to get there, but it's definitely on my list. So make sure you check it out. But yeah, very small business friendly here. All right. So that's what I've got for you guys. If you have any questions, as always, my info is below. Email me, text me, call me. I am here for you. And if you have any other questions about real estate in Southern Maine and in Central Maine, I'm more than happy to help. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.